Sure. So Codogenics, I'm a co-founder, CEO of the company, also co-inventor of the core technology. So actually, the core technology of using synthetic biology to design vaccines was part of my thesis work at Stony Brook University. So I started the company with just two individuals, or three founders, and now we're 28 based both in New York and Cambridge, Massachusetts. So yep, sure. So the goal is to, everyone thinks they're an expert making vaccines. I think we can see some of the limitations of these current first generation COVID vaccines only making antibodies. The best kind of vaccines for humanity have been what are called live attenuated vaccines, right? These are sort of weak versions of the virus you want to protect against. And so our core mission is we've invented a new way to make live vaccines that, can't revert, that are safe, but give all the traditional benefits of live vaccines. And we've actually developed a computer algorithm to redesign the DNA of any virus to convert it from killer pathogen into live attenuated vaccine. So that's our mission, right? We think there's still a way to make better vaccines quickly, and we want to harness synthetic biology and then utilize like the proven way we've always vaccinated pre-COVID, which was live attenuated. And that's sort of our mission, to solve infectious disease challenges using live vaccines that we think are safe and effective. I mean, clearly the first generation vaccines were very good at preventing severe disease. I think what they've shown is all of those vaccines are very similar in that they give you protein to make antibodies, right? And they've shown that they can rapidly generate a vaccine that can prevent severe disease, but maybe doesn't prevent transmission. And so where we can insert ourselves is to actually, our COVID vaccine is an intranasal vaccine, also our RSV is. And so we can actually, there's a place for maybe both technologies, right? Those could be used for protect against severe disease, but ours can be used to actually make mucosal immunity to prevent transmission and prevent future variants. So I don't know sure if I answered your question, but I think there's always a need for all kinds of vaccines because that can protect against disease. And I think Codogenics has a unique profile in that not only can we potentially protect against disease, but also protect against transmission, especially for respiratory viruses like COVID, RSV, flu. Sure. So we have two products. I mean for COVID, we're in a phase 3 placebo-controlled efficacy trial sponsored by the WHO. So this is occurring in over 5 countries now. We're actually testing our vaccine versus those of individuals that receive placebo and seeing how efficacious our vaccine is against protecting against disease. What's super unique about our product is it doesn't require ultra freezer, it doesn't require a needle. It can be stored in the fridge. It uses a dropper. And what we've been able to see in our earlier clinical trials was that while it did make antibodies, more importantly, it made very broad cellular and mucosal immunity that could protect against variants and even future variants. And so we think, that our vaccine will offer a virus that provides a more holistic, if you will, immune response. Sounds a little bit cliche, but it's true, right? It can make antibodies, it can make mucosal immunity, it can also make memory T cells, and that's what our offering is and differentiated. Yeah, so and also on the vaccine front is we are just about to start. Everyone knows this past winter not only was COVID bad, but also RSV was very bad, right? Especially for children. So if you weren't paying that close attention to RSV and you just looked at the news, very bad RSV season, Pfizer and GSK coming out with their phase 3 results, right? But the sub bullet there is the Pfizer GSK results are focused on the elderly, actually not focused on the 6 months to 4-year-old population. And so what's unique about Codogenics is we have an intranasal vaccine specifically targeted for 6-month-olds to 5-year-olds. It's intranasally delivered, it's alive attenuated. And there's actually very little competition in this space because it's a challenging age group to make a vaccine for. And so We have an open IND from the FDA now. The FDA actually gave us fast track designation before we even started clinical development in that group, simply because there's an urgent unmet need, right? So we could see last season RSV was really bad. Who was it really bad for? Actually, kids. Those were the ones with all the hospitalization. And there's actually very few vaccine players trying to make a vaccine for this 6-month-old to 5-year-old population. And that's exactly where Codagenics fits in.